Good morning and good afternoon for the ones joining from other regions like the Americas. Welcome everyone to our second session of our Wilson e-training junior camp. We are very excited after the session from yesterday to listen our presenter for during today. So first of all, I hope that you and your loved ones are well and healthy. My name is Ignacio Cabrera, and I am the sports marketing manager for Wilson Rackets in Europe. I would like to take the opportunity to let you know that we, the Wilson family, is here to support you and be the best partner that we can be during these unprecedented times. You know that one of the aspects of a sport that I appreciate the most is the resolve and tenacity that you guys. Indeed, these are tough times. Yet, as athletes, we have experienced hard times and those amazing moments where we come back stronger and better. And I think this is the situation that we are facing today. I'm very excited to present our speaker today, but also I would like to remind you that you can follow the Magnus Norman presentation in our platform. Okay, you will find the link and you can check it. Let me quickly introduce Michael Berrer, which is Michael Berrer, to better say. So Michael, it's been 15 years old professional player. He's from Germany. And just to let you know, the type of player which fits perfectly with the topic of today, the type of player that Michael has defeated during his career. He defeated players like Milos Raonic, Tomas Verdic, Davydenko, and especially Rafael Nadal. So one of the reasons that that he studies psychology is because of during his career he experienced the relevance and the importance to be stronger in the mental part of the training and competition. So, but better to explain and to present Michael with words, let me introduce a video.
Michael Berrer. Really unbelievable. Very well played. Really good shot. He made it.
Good afternoon, Michael, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Ignacio, and hello to all the Wilson players out there. Really honored to be here.
Very glad, and it's a pleasure to having you here. And we are very excited to listen what you want to share, especially your knowledge and your experience. And I'm sure that the guys will ask very tough questions to you. Please.
Yeah, I'm prepared. Yeah, yeah, guys. Today, I've thought long about how we do it today, and well, the thing is, I will give you now for 25 minutes or 30 minutes or so. I will give you some input from the things that I believe are very important when it comes to the mental part of our beloved sport. And we all know that tennis is all about the mental strength. But furthermore, later on, when we have the chance to get some questions into the chat, I would love to answer them, because that's the interesting part when your questions arise, and I try to answer them as best as possible.
Okay.
Let's jump in quickly. Let's jump in what I have to present. Well, you see here that, well, tennis is a mental sport, and I would go as far as that 70% of our sport is decided in our head. As Ignacio has already mentioned, 17 years on the tour, most of the time on the ATP World Tour with a lot of tough opponents. And the thing that has mostly, influenced my performance was actually my head, because tennis is a very technical sport, but a lot of thinking happens. And I have asked in the years after my career, it's now 3 years after I have finished, I've asked a lot of players what are their main problems on the court, and their most challenges. And it came to the conclusion that the emotions are an important factor. We all know that tennis can drive us nuts. We develop anger, frustration, even fear on the court, and that's something that really limits our ability to perform at our best. Then we have obviously nervousness, tension before and even during the matches. We have those uncertainty of our sport. We cannot play over time like in soccer, and under pressure we may do unnecessary mistakes which are not really helping us. Then we have obviously our brain that sends out maybe the wrong belief systems and the wrong sentences. And obviously concentration is a big issue. We are very fast distracted, because our sport also always involves people around the court, spectators, or when you play US Open, there are planes flying almost on the court. So there are a lot of things that it can influence our game. And the people that I asked never mentioned really that it's the lack of fitness or a technical inferiority. So the brain is a very important part, I believe, in tennis. So, and one of our greatest Wilson ambassadors is Roger Federer, and it's interesting when even he says that the most important factor for a successful career is mental strength. And even Serena Williams, the best female player probably of all times, sees the mental strength as her key factor. And what I found very interesting is that even Nick Kyrgios, our enfant terrible, says that mental strength makes him or makes you feel unbeatable. So what are those key factors that I have developed over the years that have helped me a lot, and also have helped many players that I have talked about this topic? And it was that that I would say it's based on 4 layers, and those are I call it the 4 superpowers for top performance. It's motivation, it's resilience, it's focus, and it's teaming. And let me give you the chance to go into those 4 elements a little bit deeper. When we talk about what is bringing us out, or what is driving us out of bed, I believe in the morning to go to practice on days when it's cold outside, when our bodies are in pain, then I believe we all need a really big vision of what we want to achieve in our sport. And I've talked with the top guys, with Rafael Nadal, with Roger Federer, and they all had, from the beginning of the career, at a young age, they had a big vision. And I tell you one story about it. I always dreamed about getting into the top 100 in the world. That was my magic number, because I believe you know it, when you are in a top 100 of the world, you can say you've been a really great tennis professional. And not so many people achieved that. The problem, though, was with my vision top 100, that it was like a big wall in front of me. And it took me like 3 years to pass this wall. I was 105 and I lost the deciding matches to go in the top 100. Then I went back to 140. Then I was up again. I could make it with one big win in the quarterfinals of a tournament, and I failed. And the moment when I started to adjust my vision to top 50 in the world, 5 months later, I was 51 in the world. That was pretty interesting for me, and it started to interest me. Why does that happen? The problem there was that I never set my goal or my big vision much higher. So what I believe, we all junior players, you are all very talented. You're part of the Wilson team, which is awesome. We should try to develop a great and a big vision. It could be maybe unrealistic in the beginning, but that's when the second part comes in, and those are the SMART goals. The SMART goals are a little bit under the big vision, and they are SMART, as it says in the American definition. They are specific, they are measurable, they are attainable, so you can reach them, they are realistic, and they are timely, and so you can reach them within a certain time. And if you use these goals, short-term, mid-term, and also a little bit longer, you always have something you can reach. And I believe that keeps the motivation very high, because when you reach a goal, for example, next week, okay, now it's a little bit difficult. In the next month, you will play a tournament and you set your goal that you would like to reach the semifinal, and you reach it. That gives you a boost of energy because you have completed the goal, and that keeps the motivation very high. The other thing that I have found is that motivation also includes giving your best every day. In our sport, I believe you need so many years, as Magnus has already mentioned yesterday in his interesting talk. You need time to develop, to become the player that is able to perform at the top level, at the ATP level or at the WTA level. But that means that we can use every single day. Even the off days are worth a lot when you are in recovery mode. Those really mentally strong players, those professional players, they are careful what they eat, they watch for their sleep, they recover actively. And I believe that's something that we can learn from those top players, that we, every single day, we try to focus on our big vision, because that's a driving force. And what I have learned, very late, that hard work beats talent. If talent doesn't work hard, they will not succeed. And I have seen in those 17 years a lot of highly talented players who didn't make it, and other players who were said not to be as talented, they have made it because they worked hard for their effort. For their talent, they didn't have that much talent, but they worked so hard every day, more than the others, and so they were better in the end as those highly talented players. And maybe you are very talented, combine it with hard work ethic, do the right things, and I think then your performance will explode. There is another thing in terms of motivation. It's fun. I mean, we are in a very lucky position. We can do our sport, our beloved sport that I guess all of us love in some way, on a pretty professional level. And it should still be fun. And I understand that not every practice is really nice. I tell you, I'm 100 kilos heavy, and the 400-meter runs in 70 seconds with 70 seconds break 10 times, that was not quite fun. But I always had the big goal in my head, like when you do this, then you can stay fit against Rafa in the third set. You don't go down and you breathe hard. And that's the overall vision is always there. And also on the court, when you do the drills, when you do the forehand cross repetitions, you can talk with your coach, for example, hey, that's okay, I don't really like it, but I understand I have to do it. And then you agree to do a fun exercise or something that you really like in the end of the practice. That keeps the moral high, and then you will go through these difficult practices. Another thing that I have learned in terms of motivation is I was always very comfortable with the exercises that I was used to. You know, they were kind of hard, but I was used to them and they were easy. But the real learning was taking place when I had to do things that I really didn't like so much and which were painful, kind of. And I think that's a sign of a mentally strong tennis player, that he usually goes out of his comfort zone and into this kind of painful zone where the real learning happens. Yeah, that's those are my learnings on the part of motivation. We go over to one of our most important factors in tennis. It's resilience. Magnus yesterday has already said that we lose a lot in tennis. I tell you, I have lost so many matches. And the interesting thing, it doesn't matter which ranking you are, if you're a junior or a pro player, because when you think about it, in January, 128 of the best male and female players come together in Australia. They're all well prepared, very ambitious, and after 2 days, half of them are already out. They have to fly home. And in the end of those 2 weeks, only one player didn't lose. That's very often Rafa, Novak, or Roger. The others have to deal with the defeats. It's part of our game. And what I have learned and what has helped me very well was the AAA principle. That's based on acceptance, analysis, and then in Germany it's called abhaken, and we translate it into English into continue. And that's, when you think about it, a very pragmatic approach. Because when you lost a match, usually you cannot turn back the time and change it. So you have to accept it. And then there comes the second part, the analysis, in which you look what happened, what was the reason why I lost. I tell you honestly, when I lost to Roger a couple of times, that was not really a big analysis, because this guy was just much better than I was. But there were matches where I had a good chance to win, or when I was almost winning and I lost it. And then the analysis was very helpful, because it opened me new ways where I can improve and where I can practice. And then the third step, continue, means that you should get your mindset ahead to the next challenges, because the good tennis, and I like that about it, is that very often 3-4 days later you have the chance in the next tournament, and that's great. We are not an Olympic sport who has a highlight every 4 years. No, you have a chance almost every week to do it better. And the AAA principle even applies on the court. I remember how many times I have missed easy forehands to the fans or whatever, and I was really pissed. And in the beginning, that was driving me nuts. But then this AAA principle is very easy. Accept it, because you cannot turn back the time. You quickly analyze what was the reason, and then you continue to the next point, because it's only 25 seconds to the next challenge. So when you practice this over again, you will get much better and you get more resilient. The next part is, for me, very important, is emotion control. I mean, I remember in the early stages of my career, I was freaking out on the court. I never threw my racket because I had a Wilson racket. No, but honestly, I mean, sometimes we abuse our racket and we get angry and we swear around. But in the end, that's not really helping us. So we have to find a way to control our emotions when these feelings like anger, fear, frustration come up. And I believe that one of the best ways to do it is to find, first of all, maybe a channel for our anger. That could be like using your wristband to bite in, or making a strong fist that you release this energy, or you breathe out very heavily, release the anger. And then you develop, maybe if you feel like that's a good way for you, push routines. Like, for example, Rafa always does the fist, and then you combine it, for example, with a power affirmation, with a power sentence. For me, it was always helping that I did a come on like this, and suddenly positive energy was flowing around and replaced the negativity. And another way or another method are routines. I mean, routines can be used on several aspects. And for example, you have routines in your warm-up, but you can also develop routines on court, how to deal with it. Like, for example, I always had my routines between points. I was like, when I lost the point, I was watching for my body language. I was trying to breathe very good. And then I tried to use my push routine and go into my game plan. That was my routine to overcome it. And one final thing that was really helping me, and which only in the end of my career, which I was using very actively, was gratitude. Think about it. You play tennis and other people pay for a ticket to watch you play. That's pretty cool. And I was never thankful and gracious for being able to play in Indian Wells, stay in a nice hotel, enjoy all the hospitality of those tournaments, be around the top players in the world. And when I changed that, that was really a fun fact. And even on the worst day, when you lie in bed in the evening, you can think about 3 things of tennis that you're thankful for. And there are always 3 things. For example, that you have a roof over your head, that you have a warm bed, and that you got something nice to eat. So that was really one of game changers for me, and which I apply also today in my life after tennis. And I've put some other things on, but I don't want to go in too deep now because we have a lot of other things to talk about. The focus. We all know that in tennis, it's very important to perform when it really matters. When we are on court, we have to be there with all our attention and to do what is necessary to beat the other guy or to do an exercise very efficient. And focus is something that champions are really perfect in. They can, take out all the other things, the distractions in their life, and be in the moment on the court. And one thing that I have found very important is a term, it's called clarity. I was playing a challenger in the beginning of my career in Israel, I believe it was, and I was complaining about everything, the lights, the weather, the balls, the line judges. And then a very experienced ATP referee took me to the side and told me, hey, Michael, now you have to stop because otherwise I disqualify you. And I was like, oh my God, I was like shocked. And then I said, yeah, but what can I do? He said, focus on the essential, play tennis. And that was something that was really, really helpful for me throughout my career. And I tell you, when I was leading 5-4 against Rafa in Doha, 2015, and I was sitting there on the bench, that was a good experience because in that moment I was thinking about everything but the essential. I was thinking, when I finish this match now, I can tell my kids about it. I can use it after my career. I'm in the press tomorrow. My parents are proud. And what happened? 5 seconds later, I was on the court and it was 15-40. You don't want that after 2.5 hours against Rafa. And I was able to switch my attention again to the really necessary things, and it was a game plan. That was, where do I serve Rafa, and what will be his answer on the return. And then in that moment, in this match, it was working out pretty well. It was a good experience. But in terms of focus, other things have helped me, and obviously also other players very well. And that was something that I was reading from Roger Federer, and I've also talked with him about it. It's the aspect of preparation. He said about it, he said it's preparation prevents panic. And I believe that's so true. Like in school, when we were prepared for a test, when there was a difficult question, we didn't get nervous. We stayed calm, and we knew we know what it's all about, and we were able to solve the problem. And in tennis, I believe it's all about preparation when it comes to focus. For example, when do you pack your bag? Interesting question, huh? I have developed the habit to pack my bag every evening. So I have my Wilson racket bag there, and I put in all the necessary things that I need. I also think about in my checklist about those smaller things that you usually don't need, but if you need them, they have to be handy. For example, shoelaces. What happens if you play a match and your shoelace breaks? You don't have one. Oh, you're in a bad position. Then do you have enough drinks? Do you have a snack? Do you have dates if you get a little bit hungry? Do you have replacement shirts? What happens if it rains and you have to change or take a shower? All those things are part of the process of preparation. And it also includes, obviously, when do you get up in the morning before a match or before practice? When do you eat? Everyone has a different time to digest, and everyone needs to find his perfect spot that he's ready when it counts on the court. So preparation is a very important factor from my perspective. And obviously, we have the body language. It would be probably a very big difference when I'm talking to you like this, with a head low and a very passive body language, or if I'm upright and positive. And the same applies on a tennis court. We all know that. I mean, you guys play several tournaments during the year, and do you like those guys who are pushing, or who are really like that, introvert and calm? I mean, for me, it was always more difficult to play against the guy who has a good body language, who shows me that he's there and he takes the competition, instead of a guy who is very shy and calm. That was much easier. And the positive thing about the body language is that you don't need talent for it. You just have to do it. And if you have a good body language, you impress not only your opponent, but it also works beneficial for you, because a good body language has positive effects on your mood and on your self-confidence. So sometimes think about it that you're a Hollywood actor. It's really a great benefit. And the last thing about is self-talk. When you talk to yourself like, oh, I'm so bad, you're so stupid, that's really negative and it puts you down. Think about how your best friend should or would talk to you when you're on a match and you need some, pushing. I think he would say, come on, you can do it, you're great. I believe the self-talk that we should apply to ourselves, always positive, because that sets also a statement for your focus, then you are there. And the last point in that section that I would like to mention is breath control. Your breath is something that you can guide and that you have power over. And I believe we don't use it efficient enough very often. So you can test it out if you want now or later. When you're tired at the moment on the court and you use your breath and you breathe in through your nose 5 seconds, you hold shortly and then you breathe out through your mouth, count to 6. You will quickly feel a release in your body tension. And we do this twice, then you are really much more focused and there is more clarity in your head. And I think that's very, very beneficial. So we come to the final part of what I believe is very important. And that's something that I have always not neglected, but I was not really good in it. And it's the thing about teaming. In tennis, if you think about it, there is always another guy on the other side that you need to practice with. So it's your kind of a teammate and obviously your coach. And in my days in Germany, we have kind of this, jealousy when the other guy plays good and, you don't really support the other guy. And that was really stupid from my side. I remember I practiced with a great player, Andreas Beck, who was 33 in the world, daily over 10 years. And I was like hesitating, don't giving him the tips that I find very helpful. And that was really stupid. Nowadays, we are best friends and we practice on a constant basis and we laugh about it. And I said, I was so stupid. We could have pushed ourselves to the next level. And I believe in tennis, it's all about teaming. You cannot win something on your own. You need a great team around you. And that brings me to the next point that Magnus was mentioning yesterday. I think we as players have to be very coachable. We have to accept feedback and criticism and take it as a method to improve, because the best thing to improve is if you have somebody who criticizes you, who tells you things that you can work on. And if we are able to take that feedback and put it in the right direction, then I think we can really quickly improve our performance. And we have to be open for it and find the way and find people in our environment who we trust. And then there is a thing that I have developed over the years. There are many people in the tennis business who are very positive, who give you energy. Nonetheless, there are also people who take energy from you. And you always have to push them, and they try to put you a little bit down. And I believe that's very important at every stage of a career, to find people around you who are positive thinkers. And this is very, very important, because the environment decides in which direction you go. So I think it's very, very important to find those people who are positive, who give you a smile when you walk into the practice facility in the morning. I believe that's essential. And you have it in you. It's your decision to really find those people around you and to react if it's not so, and maybe talk with them about it. And if they don't change their behavior, which is very difficult, maybe also change the environment. And this teaming effect is, I believe we should work together for each other in our practice team, because success together is much more fun. It's very important. And when we have a great team, then I believe also that it's very important to use the coach to prepare for matches, to work on the match preparation, and also to work on the aftermath. Because when you have played a match, there are so many things that you can find, that you can improve. And that's what coaches are for. They tell you what they see are ways to improve, and together you can take the journey to perfection, which is very difficult in tennis, but we want to come near perfection and develop our full potential. That's what I had to say. And when I would give you a definition of a mentally strong tennis player, I would describe it in these words. Mentally strong tennis players have a strong vision and know what they want. They strive to get better every day. They deal confidently with defeats, pressure, and resistance. On court, they focus on the game and perform at their peak when it matters. They create a team and an environment that encourages and supports them and look forward to shared success. Looks a little bit difficult, but you can get this presentation if you want and read through it, and maybe there is one or two things that may help you. Well, that's the picture that I couldn't hide. That's a great memory, and it shows why we all work for tennis. And so those matches and those experience that you get on court, those wins that stay in your head. And also I have to mention that I've lost a lot of time, a lot of matches against Rafa that I've lost really badly, almost love six in Monte Carlo. One day I made one lucky game. So that was just a great memory that I wanted to share. And now I'm ready for your questions. And if you don't have questions, be brave, put it in the live comments, and we'll work on it. Okay, I see what we have here. Okay. Fairplay asked, how could I deal with the situation when I'm in the lead and you just have to play the game home and then the game turns? is there something what I can say to be in these situations? Yeah, that's a classic scenario in tennis. It's what distinguishes us from football and soccer, that we cannot play it over time, and it happens 1,000 times that you are in the lead and suddenly the momentum changes, maybe even 1 point decides and it goes into another direction. And I believe it's again to accept the situation, because usually a player feels, oh, a momentum has changed, and then try to find a strategy. For example, focus on your own game, on your tactics, maybe not so much focus on the result, more on the task ahead, because up to that moment you did something really well and it worked very well, and it must have been a tactic or a special game plan, and maybe it helps you to focus back again on that, because what happens then when you're on the lead and the momentum changes, also your unconscious mind probably puts a lot of doubt in your head, and one way to trick your unconscious mind is to focus on a game plan, on scenarios that you want to do before the serve wide, and then play open corner. So that would be my advice in that moment, but you have to check it out. We go over, but if that is not enough, then you put on a further question and we try to dig in deeper. Daniela Dimitrov asked, do you believe that visualization helps with confidence and more certainty on court? Yes, I definitely believe that when we are continuously imagining ourselves in victorious positions, in ways that we perform at our best, we will be able to also put these performances on the court more and more regularly. And also in terms of visualization, when we have a big vision, I think it helps to make a picture from it. Sounds a little bit strange, but our brain can work much better with pictures. And for example, if you have a dream of winning Roland Garros or Wimbledon, take a picture of Maria Sharapova holding the trophy in Wimbledon and put your picture in it, and then put it to your bath, to the mirror, that you see it every day a couple of times, and then that's your vision, and then it gets really branded in your brain. That could help. But definitely, visualization is a great thing. Camilla SD asked, did you ever have a big injury? No. I was really blessed. With 32, I had an injury in my elbow. It was a loose part in my elbow. Unfortunately, it was at my home tournament when I was in the quarterfinals in singles and doubles semifinal, and I had to retire against Bautista Agut. That was not so nice, but it took me like 2 months when I was out, and so I was very lucky with it. But I also did a lot of stretching and massages not to get injured, because with 100 kilos you have to prepare and do a lot of preparation not to get injured. Mauri Cario Aguilar asks, do you have a certain technique who you get into the famous zone where everything is just perfect and you don't notice anything of your environment anymore? Yeah, that is the flow. Yeah, the flow, that is the ideal mindset, and when everything goes automatically, it's not easy to reach that. I believe that you have to do your practice that gives you security when you do your repetitions. And what has helped me a lot before matches, because I was a very nervous and tight player, I did meditations. Sounds first a little bit esoteric, but it was just a guided meditation that has helped me to calm down and to be really relaxed. And when I did that, then I just focused on the things that I had to do, not so much on the result, more on the tasks that I had to do to win the match. And then more and more I came into in the states where I performed at my best. But that's also one thing that I believe is tennis is easy when you are in this state to win, but it's all about winning matches when you are not in this state and finding solutions. Tennis is all about finding solutions, and maybe that's also a way, if you have a mindset of taking those problems that occur on court and find solutions, maybe that brings you near what you want to reach. Dani Ramirez asks, what would you recommend to players that can't practice, compete? They have been more than 2 months and don't know when tennis competition resumes. That's a big issue. I experienced myself, but I'm not a professional anymore like you guys. And what I would say is that obviously we have to do our training, our physical abilities should remain on a good level, but we should also not get nervous, because everyone has this problem, like not everyone, some countries are able now to play again, but we shouldn't get too nervous about it, because I was talking with a top 30 players these days, and he said that he's quite sure that he doesn't lose his tennis, and it takes him like 3 to 4 weeks to come back at his full potential and his full physical abilities. So I believe that it's now time to just work on maybe physical, weaknesses. We can improve our body stability. We can work on our endurance, and then when it goes back to normal, eventually, then we take like a month, and then we are back to normal. So it's tough now with all the attention in the media, when the people get really nervous, not to stay calm. But I think we should stay calm and focus on what we can do at this moment. Fabi Zimmer, that's great that he's here. Do you have any crazy behaviors to focus on your game, like throwing the bottle like Rafa, not tipping on the lines, etc.? Not so bad, to be honest, but I have them, yeah. For example, when I'm on the changeover, I always have to place my racket between the legs, and I have to have the towel over my legs, and I have to first drink my electrolytes and then water. So I have some behaviors or habits that give me security, and I know they work for me. So they are not too bad, I guess, but they are there. Quentin Rainier asks, do you have any mental tips to be better on the key points? Yeah, the key points, the big points, very, very good factor, because I've thought about it long, and everyone told me when I was starting my career, every point counts in tennis. It's true, every point counts, but as you say, there are big points, key points, because you can even lose a match like Roger last year by making more points than your opponent. So it's all about those big points. And what has helped me there is, because when those big points come, we usually feel kind of an awareness about it. We get a little bit tighter, and often we want to do something special. And I think what has helped me there is focus on the game plan. What is my strategy? What do I want to do? When you serve a player with a better backhand, you serve body forehand, and then you will probably get a return through the middle, and then you play open corner, for example. That is a strategy that you maybe have to improvise when it comes differently. But I believe focus on that is a good factor, and always a proactive mindset. Sometimes we overplay on those points. Sometimes we get too passive, and I believe to just do what is necessary to win the point. Be proactive. You want to be in charge of the point. I think that could help. Andrea Peruzzo asks, how did you prepare mentally for the match against Rafa? What were your emotions, thoughts before, during, and after the match? That's good, yeah. Well, how did I prepare mentally? Like every other match. The good thing was it was the first tournament of the year. I played qualies, so I had 3 matches under the belly. And what I did normally, I did my meditation. I did a good warm-up. I was eating in the perfect time. And then I went on court and I lost the first set 1-6 and I didn't have a chance. So everything worked as usual. But I felt like, hey, I'm in good shape. I feel physically very well, and I feel like something is possible. And suddenly the momentum also has changed, and I was able to compete. And that was a good feeling. And I tried to stay just in my game plan, in my normal thoughts, and not to be ahead of the time. And in the end, I told before what happened at 5-4, but it worked in that moment. Yeah, stick to the plan. And well, you get extremely nervous when you can finish a match against Rafa, obviously. But I was able to get it under control. And after the match, to be honest, it was overwhelming. It was too much for me. And I think I got a phone call at 3 a.m. from the German press, and I forgot to switch off the telephone cable. So the next day, the next match against Ivan Dodig was a total disaster. I was so tired, but it was a great win. So yeah, but now I only realized it 1 or 2 years after what a big thing it was for me. So yeah, that was great. So Fabian Pöskes asks, how did you deal with days where you just missed a lot of shots and therefore had a lower self-confidence when trying to play more aggressive? That's a good thing, a good question, yeah. Well, I think that's obviously frustrating. But what you can do is when you miss a lot of shots, you can think about your targets. And most of the time I caught myself being too precise, being too close to the lines. And when I felt like I miss a lot of approaches and a lot of shots, I just searched for bigger targets. And that was helping me to reduce mistakes and just find solutions. When you have a really bad first serve percentage and that brings you into trouble, you can adjust and take a little bit speed out of the first serve, get a better percentage. If you miss a certain shot down the line, you just go cross, make the guy play one more time. With the aggressive tennis, it's like do it over and over again. When you play aggressive, when you play brave, it's pretty normal that you sometimes miss. And there are, from my perspective, stupid errors and good errors. And sometimes when you go for it and you miss, it's okay. So you have to always also see what is a good choice and what is a good approach, a good aggressive ball that is okay to miss. When you go to a big target, aggressive, and you miss it, it's okay, it happens. But when you go close to the line, you miss it, maybe you did a little bit too much. So I think it's important to find the right balance between the target and the bravery you choose. Maxime Janot asks, how do you train yourself to feel and handle the pressure as if you were in a real match? That's good. It's a good question. What we do, or what we did, and what I still do, is we put everything to the test with points and with penalties. And one of the penalties that are possible is like when you lose, you have to serve the lunch for the other guy, or you have to take the bag from the court to the locker room, or you have to do some embarrassing things like you have to go on all four and bark like a dog to the net, something like that, which keeps a little bit the momentum flying, and you get a little bit tight and you feel you don't want to lose that. That was helping me quite a lot, and I did almost every exercise with points. I needed that, but that was helping me.
Michael.
Yeah,
hey.
we are through.
No. I think it's been super interesting, and like we can go all day. And you are doing very in an efficient way, because you are answering a lot of questions. So
Cool.
what I will propose is to pick the last question. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the questions, guys, we will Michael will answer the questions in a video, and we will upload this video into the platform as we did yesterday with Magnus. That's work for you, Michael? It's fine.
Yeah, for me it works fine, and I'm sorry for all the answers that I cannot take now. But we went into the timeline. So yeah, the last question now is from Alexandre Valentin, and it's how do you find your routines? How can you help a player to find it? Do you have any tips? Yeah, that is very individual, and I can only share some experience what has helped me, but you probably also have your own routines. My routines were many. I can tell you one thing. It's first this one with the bag that was giving me a lot of security. That was really helpful because you only miss one match because you don't have any more rackets. Happened to me once in Roland Garros. In 45 minutes, 6 rackets, and I had to play with the rackets of another player. Was not so good. So, like those are the little things. Or your shoelaces break, or your shoe breaks. It was not a Wilson shoe. But then you are there without a shoe. So I always had a spare shoe in my bag. So those are things that have helped me a lot. Then routines can involve also, for example, how you spend the last half hour before a match. Yesterday I saw Rafa in the locker room in Madrid or in the LA to the court, what he does short before the match. And for example, his routine is charms and smiling and also get into the mood mentally. And that's what routines are for. Everyone has individual routines. But for example, routines can also involve in tournaments, for example, always go to the same restaurant when it works for you. Rafa does that, I think. And what you can also do when you have practice at 7, my routine was always at 10 o'clock. Sorry, 7 is a little bit early. At 10 o'clock in the morning, you have practice. I was always getting up minimum 3 hours before 7 o'clock because that was a time that I needed to wake up, to have breakfast. And then my routine was also to arrive early at my practice facility to have enough time. Because when you have practice at 10 and you arrive 9:45, it's probably very unlikely that you're relaxed on the court. And so it's very individual with routines. But what you can think about is, for example, what kind of push or power sentence helps you. Like Roger has kumite, that works very well for him. Maybe you have a different one. And I think it's your turn, and it's also fun to develop your own routines that help you, because everyone is individual, and that's the beauty of the sport. Everyone has different approaches, what works for them, and maybe that can help you too to think about it. Take a piece of paper, write down what is good for me, what do I really like to do, and then you can test it out in the practice. That's a good method. Everything that you want to implement in your automatic habits should be practiced in practice, and then over and over again it gets automated.
Okay, so excellent, Michael. It's as I said, we can stay all day listening to you. Amazing stories, great tips, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your experience, and to answer the question of our junior guys. Because I'm sure that all what you said has been will be very useful for them in the future.
Thanks a lot. And the final words that I want to say is, guys, dream big and work hard. And then I will see you on TV, and I'm looking forward to it.
Good. So, guys, thank you so much. A special thanks to Michael for joining us today. And also thank you to all of you that take your time to attend this session. I hope you consider it interesting. It's my case, personal case. I'm learning a lot from Michael today that unfortunately I'm not a tennis player, but I can use it in my daily work. I will use some of your tips. You are welcome to the next session. And as I said from the beginning, you can get this session and the session from Magnus in the platform. So have a nice rest of the day. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning for the guys from the Americas, and stay positive and stay safe. Thank you.